YouTube and social media are out there screaming at you. Make one wrong move and your cruise is ruined. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not how it usually works. I often read comments from people saying things like, I've watched so many videos trying to plan my cruise and I'm so stressed out that I don't even want to go anymore. And you know, that breaks my heart because this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be exciting. Planning a cruise should be something that you really enjoy, not something that's keeping you up at night. So if you're new here, I'm Kat, and today let's talk about things that many people are actually overthinking and what really matters. Because I promise this is so much simpler than what social media wants to have you believe. And let's start with the big one. I think this one is probably doing the most damage. You know, you've been doing your homework, you've watched dozens of YouTube videos, maybe some of mine. You've gone down the Reddit rabbit hole and you've read every forum thread about every ship, every sailing, every cabin category, and instead of feeling more confident, you feel worse. Well, here's the thing. More information does not always equal better decisions. At some point, it actually works against you because now you've got 15 different opinions on the same cruise. Many people are contradicting each other, and then you have no idea who to believe. And I've had travel clients contact me completely paralyzed. They've done so much research that every option feels risky now. And so they're second guessing things that they were totally fine with a month ago. So here's what I tell them. At some point, you want to just close all the tabs. There's a point of diminishing returns with cruise research. And if planning your cruise is stressing you out, that's your sign. You're overdoing it. Give yourself permission to stop researching and start actually looking forward to the trip. Now let's talk about something that I see that comes up with almost every client that we work with. The question I hear all the time is, what is the best cruise line? And the answer, you ready? Drum roll. There's no such thing. I know. You've seen the comparison videos, you've read the debates, you've seen them, Royal Caribbean versus Celebrity versus Norwegian versus Carnival, and everybody has a strong opinion about one way or the other. But here's the rest of the story to most of those conversations. The right cruise line depends entirely on a specific trip, not the brand. Let me give you a real example. We recently had clients contact us wanting to book 2 separate cruises. The first was just for the 2 of them, a longer cruise celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. The second one was a big family trip, their adult kids who were in their 40s and teenage grandkids. And we're going with 2 completely different cruise lines for each trip. I'm talking about Princess for a nice longer anniversary trip and Royal Caribbean for a family trip. So it's not because one cruise line is better than the other, but it's because these are 2 entirely different trips. Different group dynamics, different energy, completely different things that they're going to want to do on the ship and in port. So the most important thing to understand is that the cruise line that is perfect for a romantic anniversary celebration might or might not be the same one that would be best for a multi-generational family sailing on with teenagers or even toddlers on board. So if you've been agonizing over which cruise line is the best one, stop. The right question is, what does your next specific trip need? Start there, and then answers get a lot easier. The next one is something I have personally done quite a few times when we first started cruising, and then I learned not to do it as much. And that's because we do cruise a lot, and we love cruise ships amenities. So here's what I see happen all the time. People will spend hours, sometimes days, comparing ships. The entertainment, the specialty restaurants, the slides, surf zone simulators, pool decks. They pick the most impressive ship on paper, and then they never ask, am I actually going to use any of these amenities? So here's my personal example. We absolutely love Icon class and Oasis class ships on Royal Caribbean. I mean, I think they have the most amenities out there. They're just incredible. And I feel like they have a lot more to offer to everybody, no matter what age you are and what you like. But we're about to go on our first Mediterranean cruise. And do you know the ship I chose for that one? Brilliance of the Seas. This is one of the smallest ships Royal Caribbean has, and it's also one of the older ones, and I was on it last year. I mean, it's still holding up good. But I chose it on purpose because that one had the perfect itinerary and every port that we wanted to visit. And when we're going to be off the ship almost every single day, you have long port days, early mornings, late returns. The ship is just a floating hotel that follows you around. So it's not our destination. So the bells and whistles are not a priority on the sailing. The other side of that is Legend of the Seas. It is about to sail in Europe this summer, and I deliberately did not want to book it because this is the ship I want to stay on. I don't want to go off to port. I want to experience everything that Legend has to offer. So we booked it for the Caribbean instead when it gets to America, where we'll actually have plenty of time to enjoy the way it deserves. So this is a game changer when it comes to how you choose the ship. You want to match the ship to what you're actually going to use it for, not its feature list. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd love to know that you're enjoying this type of content. The next obsession is something so many people spend time on, and that's trying to lock down the perfect cabin. Midship, not too close to the elevator, but not too far. Away from the kids club, but not under a pool deck, not above the engine room. And I get it. Look, the cabin location does matter to some degree, but here's what actually happens. People rule out perfectly good cabins, sometimes better cabins with better views, in a better category, with better value, over some concerns that they may never even affect them just because they see a video or a post on Instagram. All of these locations, forward, aft, midship, they all have their pros and cons. But for most cruisers, on most itineraries, the difference are way overblown on social media than they really need to be. So many people are agonizing how to optimize for a problem that they probably won't even have. So my advice is pick a cabin category that fits your budget and your priorities. Try to pick the best location on the ship, but don't let pursuit of that perfect location talk you out of a great cabin that might have not as desirable location, because again, it comes down to personal opinion. Some people love some cabins and other people hate those cabins. So for many people, chances are once they're out in the water, other things on the ship are going to matter more, which brings us to the next big one. And I'm guilty of this one too. I mean, it's crazy to think how many hours I've spent for all our previous cruises planning out the what, where, and when of eating. I know you invested in this trip, you want everything to be great, but here's what actually can happen. If you focus on this too much, then all of this becomes a schedule that stresses you out more than the wonderful vacation you're supposed to be enjoying. And here's what I really want to stress. You will not go hungry on a cruise ship. The included dining is really already good. And I have been on most major cruise lines in the last 2 years alone. And you know what? Even on Margaritaville at Sea, which gets a lot of slack for their ships, there was plenty of food to eat, even on Paradise, or the worst reviewed ship out there. From my experience working with clients, most people don't need to have specialty dining at all. For us, we cruised for over a decade on Royal Caribbean before we even started upgrading to specialty dining. And many of our clients tell us that the main dining room is their favorite place, even after trying some specialty dining restaurants. So again, don't get stuck on this rigid dining strategy. Keep flexibility in your schedule and just enjoy the food that's there. I'm going to spend about 30 seconds on this one because this one is a lot simpler than many people think. And unless you are packing to an exotic destination that you're not used to, if you're going to simple places like Bahamas or the Caribbean, just pack the way you're going to Florida. Plus a few essentials that you cannot get on a cruise ship. Comfortable clothes, something for the elegant night that applies to your sailing, sunscreen, medications, done. The amount of energy people pour into packing weeks, sometimes months before their cruise, it's not necessary. And again, I'm guilty of that. We did that on our first few cruises, and that was before YouTube and the hundreds of videos saying, if you don't pack these 27 things, your cruise would be ruined. But all that overpacking creates its own stress. You end up packing way too much. You're awake at night wondering if you got something that you need or forgot something. And then you get all this stuff in your cabin, which ends up being more cluttered. And then you spend a month worrying about something that could have taken a couple of hours. So I have a better idea. Use common sense packing. and then redirect that energy into something like looking forward to your vacation. By the way, I'd love to know what you think. Let me know if you think it's better to pack weeks before or days before your cruise. This one is close to my heart because I've seen it turn what could have been an incredible cruise into a genuinely exhausting one. You know, in a funny way, the best part of cruising that we love is having all these things to do, unlike most land vacations. And this is also a stumbling point for many people. You probably paid good money for your trip. You want to maximize every single moment, and so you have shows to watch, excursions booked, pools to try, restaurants to go to, activities lined up for every single day. And then, when you actually get there, you're tired. And instead of enjoying any of it, you're rushing from one thing to the next, and it feels like you're already behind because you're trying to get everything in. So from working with our clients, I see that the best cruises are not always the ones that people did the most. They're the ones where they found the right balance between activity and downtime. Those people who come back absolutely glowing, they're not the ones with the fullest itineraries. They're the ones who were present for what they chose to do. So you don't need to do everything that's listed in a cruise ship schedule. You want to enjoy some of those things, obviously, but sometimes it just means sitting on the open deck, watching the most incredible sunset and doing absolutely nothing for an hour. And skip the show that you thought you would be seeing because of that sunset. We've done that, and those are the memories that we have from those trips that we really cherish the most. All right, so this next one is something where I want to give you some reassurance. You know, people worry so much about accidentally breaking the ship rules. We hear, can I bring this on board? Can they confiscate that? What if I get in trouble? Are they going to kick me off the ship? Well, here's the reality. Most items that are not allowed, things like irons and steamers, are simply going to be taken away when you get on the ship, and they're going to be handed right back to you when you disembark. And every time we go on the ship, we see these tables of all the different things that people had to be confiscated, and then they're going to take them, they're going to give them back. So you're not going to get banned over a travel steamer. So just breathe in, breathe out. This is not something you're going to get banned on. Now, with that said, there are things that can actually get you in serious trouble on a cruise ship. And I mean things that can get you removed from the cruise ship mid-cruise or permanently banned from a cruise line entirely. And that's what surprises many people. These mistakes could cost you a lot. So I will cover all that in this next video. I'll see you over there.